I thought that this was interesting because the 49ers stay away from injured players. Like they do not, especially early on, they usually in the first couple rounds, they don't usually target those. Well, Mikell Williams had a grade 2 ankle sprain. And Ahmed talked about how they went to Georgia practice knowing that Mikell Williams had a grade 2 ankle sprain. They wanted to see, because he only missed a short time games, but they wanted to see how he practiced. Well, he made every single rep in practice. And then they said what was particularly interesting to them is that practice ended and Mikell Williams, even with the ankle injury, stayed after for 20 minutes extra work after the Georgia practice concluded, and just how that made such a lasting impact. The 49ers seem to have this thing. If you play through injuries, they love you. Whether that's a positive thing or a negative thing, I think Mikell Williams' tape showed that. Was there anything else that stood out to you in kind of that article? And again, it just kind of seems like Mikell Williams, the Niners love this guy, willing to trade up for him, all that stuff. What else did you take away from that?
Yeah, they talked about his intensity and his passion. And I think that that's one of the key elements to how the 49ers are picking players is they're picking guys that love football enough to stay after practice with an injury and still get it done, to show up and go out there and play. Because there's a lot of prospects, especially with Mikell Williams knowing he's going to be a first-round pick, that would have sat out and said, hey, I'm just going to prepare for the draft. I'm going to wait. And, especially once Georgia wasn't looking like they were going to be in the picture for a national championship, he could have just said, you know what, I'm going to take care of me. But instead, he continued to be out there for his guys. It was important for him to be out there. And I think the 49ers have pinpointed that as a trait that they're looking for in their prospects, is they want guys that are going to, go ahead and play through injury. And I think it just shows a mental part of the game that they love. And that's the John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, aggressive style. For Kyle, it's a coach's thing where you always want people to be ready or be capable of going out there. For John Lynch, it shows something that he displayed as a player, so he can relate to it. And so I do think that that's an aspect they look at. And it was a lot more mental than I'm sure it was physical. And I think they like the mental toughness. And I think that's a huge element to Mikell Williams' game, because the film showed that he's a consistent player on multitude of levels. But what the film can't show is what the college tells you, that he's going to be this, this, and this. And then they show up and he is that. And that makes the 49ers fall in love with the player. And I think that's why they're willing to jump up, because of the mental makeup of the player. He's made of the right stuff, as Fred Warner says in almost every interview now. And I think that that's what the 49ers were looking for. And I think that's what they got in Mikell Williams.